Franco Trading Enterprise says still, folks, Papa Pafie Newsflash is brought to you by the kindest courtesy of Franco Trading Enterprise. And I tell you what, there's so much to actually talk about today here on the show. This week has been really a long week with, yesterday bringing some very I wouldn't say, disturbing. Maybe disturbing because, if you're part of the OSP's, structure, you may find this very disturbing because then people are asking, what is the use of that office standing? So if you're in that structure, definitely you will find that very disturbing. In fact, the OSP says he's very unfazed about it, and he's going to make sure that he takes this up. There's going to be an appeal. Yesterday, according to lawyer Martin Pegu, whether, he picks this up or not, he may have a win or lose. And so whatever it is, we're looking at what his next step will be like. But we're looking at that this morning. What do you make of that court ruling? The OSP's office is being stripped of all the power that would make him, able to actually prosecute people. It means that whatever criminal cases that they have now has to be taken to the desk of the Attorney General. The Attorney General says they are ready to take up those cases. And so, yes, we're going to be looking at that issue. And also the President is asking all of us to ensure that we have a healthy lifestyle, and that includes not eating very late in the night. Now people are saying that you're preaching a 24-hour economy. You're now saying that people should eat in the night. If somebody decides that they want to actually, go, out because it's 24 hours and they see a banku seller or maybe an Indomie seller or, whatever, selling around 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. and they've been working for 24 hours and they want to grab some food to eat, would they be actually thinking about their lifestyle before they eventually, make a purchase? People are putting that debate also out there. So we're going to be looking at that issue here as well. Until send your messages to us. Our WhatsApp line is active. We're streaming live on Facebook as well. I've been doing well this week, reading most of your messages on Facebook. I'll do same today. And so send them over there and I'll definitely take a look at them here on the show. All right. So those are the two issues that we're looking at. And my guests will be joining me this morning in studio. I'll be introducing them to you very soon. But let's go on the front page of the newspapers and see what has been reported. And then right after that, I'll introduce my guest to you. And then we'll get the conversation underway. Now, Daily Graphic this morning is reporting on some issues and says, voluntary tax compliant indigenous business leads way. And KGL Group pays 153.21 million Ghana cedis to GRA. That's captured on the front page of the Daily Graphic. And 33 SHS to pilot new WASE SC curriculum this year. Page 13 has got a story in Daily Graphic. BOG governor urges IMF to reshape support to Africa. That's also captured by Daily Graphic. UPSA Law School Honors Chachuchi Kata, page 12 and 21, has got a story over there. And it was a very beautiful ceremony. And UPSA putting that together. The very learned Chachuchi Kata at a point invited the wife to come up stage. And something very interesting happened over there as well. So yes, congratulations to him. He served and served well. And a big thanks to the UPSA Law Department for putting this together for the very learned Chachuchi Kata. Very beautiful ceremony over there. Anyway, that's on the front page of the Daily Graphic this morning here on Newsflash. Let's get to the Chronicle newspaper, and it says, yes, police smoke them out. And after killing Brekum Chelsea player and mobile money vendor at Funfunso, among other atrocious crimes across the country. And a big thank you to the Ghana Police Service for all the work they're doing. Lately, between 24 hours, if there's any crime, the Ghana Police Service will be there to ensure that whoever that is responsible is fished out. And a very sad one happening with the Brekum Chelsea FC star. I mean, a very young, promising star, just wasted for no reason. And I think that we have to just pat the Ghana Police Service in the, pat in the back for doing this, and ensuring that all crimes are brought up as swift as possible. Yes, big one going out to them. KGL pays 153 million Ghana cedis corporate tax to GRA. That's also captured by the Chronicle newspaper this morning. Our Bible verse for this morning says Luke 8:17, and it reads, "For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest, nor is anything secret that will not be known and come to light. And that's our Bible verse for this morning on the front page of the Chronicle. Let's get to Daily Analyst this morning. It says AG takes over OSP cases after court ruling and Brekum Chelsea Bars killing. Police nab 2 suspects. Gang leader confesses. I mean, really. And this, you have 25 years old and 30-year-old engaged in robbery and taking the lives of people. 25 years old and 30 years. Back in the day when we say our robbers have been caught and we're looking at the ages, you're looking at 50, 45, 60. You know, these days 18, 20, 22, 25. And it tells you the kind of nation we're building. And yes, you may want to say unemployment is part of it, but really, are we supposed to be just looking at unemployment and saying that, oh, it's the reason why most of these guys are, engaging in some of these things? There's a bigger picture that we need to be looking at. And the kind of the young people that we're bringing up right now, and the Gen Z adrenaline and everything right now, it's just so crazy. 25 years old. You don't even know where they get their ammunitions from. It's crazy. Anyway, man in custody for allegedly stealing police armored car. And this is the bravest of all. Like, I'm thinking, like, police armored car, like you steal a police armored car. What are you thinking? Man. Ghana's economic gains not cosmetic, Arthur Forson says so. And Gold Board supports leukemia patient with $12,724 for life-saving surgery. A good one over there. Balancing compliance and trade, stakeholders chart way forward on Free Zones Directive. That's also captured by the Daily Analyst this morning. Last but one for me, will be the Daily Gist. KGL Group pays 153 million tax to GRA. And that's in Ghana Cities. NDC flies 800 supporters to World Cup. And NLA boss denies receiving rent advance. Guilty of arguments, a fresh bid to hold trial thrown out. Mahama rebrand NPP's NHIS as free primary health care. There's a big question mark over there. AG moves to take over OSP cases, and that's also captured by the Daily Gist. Now, away from that, we have the Ghanaian publisher here this morning. It says, domestic abuse claim against the RNAQ. Lawyers request update, and the KGL settles 153 million Ghana Cedis tax obligation. And Brekum Chelsea Bars attack. Police nab 2 suspects, and Baumia has the integrity to lead Ghana. Abu Jinapo says so. All right, pretty much that will be the stories for this morning here on the front page of the various newspapers that we have here on the show. And this morning, like I said, we're taking a look at 2 major issues, the OSP's issues and the free healthcare, primary healthcare that has been out. Now, people are debating that if the president says that we need to live a good lifestyle, and that also means that we're not supposed to be eating banku and fufu very late in the evening. If you're running a 24-hour shift and people are hungry around that time, what would you want them to actually eat? We'll try and get a nutritionist to also join us this morning here on the show as well to give us a bit of interpretation on some of these issues as far as our health is concerned, right? So yes, it's a wrap for the week. It's going to be a long one. But let me introduce my guest in the studios, and joining me this morning here on the show, my brother Salom Dramani Dramado is here with me. He's the leading member for Arise Ghana. My brother, it's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
You look good. What's your secret? You look very, very good.
Okay, then it means you are referring to sartorial elegance. That's
absolutely.
It happens when you design and sew your own stuff.
Yeah.
That's it. When you design and sew your own outfit. Yes, that's
what it means.
Yes.
Oh, so that's what you do.
That's what I do.
I see. Interesting.
Yes.
That means you're going to be very young forever.
Very. That's what I do. So I design and sew clothing. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes. Not only the political activism, because that one, it doesn't pay bills. Yes, this is what pays the bills.
Oh, I see. Then you should bring me one.
So I am a tailor.
Bring me one. Let me rock yours to us.
No worries. So you can see customized.
Yeah. Let's see it over there.
You can see it.
Oh, that's nice.
With the lantern.
Yep.
Yep.
That's the
that's my logo for the politics.
Yeah.
So wherever
so you incorporate that into the
no opacity. There should always be transparency in governance.
Very
so that's what the lantern is about.
Oh.
And today happens to be the very first time I don white. Since throughout the 8 years under Nana Akufo-Addo, I never put on white. Today is my first time wearing white. Yes.
You were wearing what, black all the time?
All the time. Even to joyous occasions, I would ask the organizers to allow me to wear somber colors. Yes.
And the reason was what?
To reflect the misery at the time.
There was a lot of misery at the time.
Yes,
that you never wore white.
Never. Today is my first time, so people will be surprised that today this chap is wearing white. Today is my first time.
Whoa.
Yes, 8 years under Nana Akufo-Addo. Never.
I see.
Yes.
So it means that you sing something
exactly
different from what?
Yes, and to also to appeal to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama that he should deepen transparency in his administration. We don't want any murky stuff or opacity that characterized the erstwhile administration that he inherited.
Wow.
Or succeeded.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Anyway.
But I'll get you one. Don't worry.
I know, right? You should.
I'll get you one. But it will be ungrateful on my part not to say a very good morning to my father who actually read and raised me on sewing. Yes. So he taught me how to sew. My father.
Your own father?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
that's what he does?
Yes. As far back as 1996, I started sewing at a tender age, 1996.
Wow.
Yes. So sewing for my classmates during, I think, class 6, all the way to GHS.
I see.
Yes. And the reason I always tell the politicians that they should prioritize skills acquisition. That is the era we are now. Otherwise, the universities will continue to be bashing out graduates without jobs.
Yeah.
And it will risk the stability of this country. It may jeopardize it one day because lot of them, legion of graduates unemployed. It was the reason I championed that thing for some years. Yes, because you cannot continue to be having graduates because they are more dangerous than people who have never read anything, who cannot read. But those who can read may one day take on the state or government for not creating jobs for them. Because government is supposed to do that in keeping with Article 36, Clause 1. The government must provide jobs. So tailoring, construction, those things, carpentry.
Yeah.
We tend to be looking down on those people. We used to, but now there's some awareness now because we have graduates now who are venturing into it. So if I
Interestingly, in the West, that is what even pays more.
Exactly.
If you have got that skill. I've got friends who are into carpentry, and all of that, and they make more money.
In the year 2024, when I was contesting as independent parliamentary candidate in Central Town constituency, I was actually ridiculed by the other side that I was jobless. Meanwhile, I was born into occupation, but because it's tailoring. And I always tell the people, no, this is tailoring. The other chap who is occupying that position has only certificates. So if he's removed today, he is jobless. Yeah. He doesn't have anything on his hand.
Work, yeah.
Yes, that's it. So let's do it. So those running the National Apprenticeship Program, they should take it seriously and do some tweaking so that it will be proper, not this just to serve political whatever. No, it should be properly done.
Well, this is interesting to know, and yes, it's the way to go. And I think that you have motivated.
So I will get you.
Please do. I'll hold you. I'll hold
this dashiki like this one. I will get you one.
Please do. Please
possibly take my brother from his designer.
Talking about my brother, he's referencing Derrick Kwadwo Agyekum, who has also joined us this morning. He's a member of the NPP Communications Team. Derrick, good morning. How are you doing, my brother?
Good morning, KMG. I'm doing so well. God's grace is keeping us. What is left is for our politicians or our people in government to do what is expected of them to alleviate the plight of the ordinary Ghanaians. But I'm surprised that this morning, Selom, who is a leading member of Arise Ghana, and Arise Ghana is known for their anti-corruption fight and then proper governance, is telling us today that he's wearing white for the first time in 8 years because now things are beginning to work proper. And what surprises me is that he sits here as a skilled person, and then he's wearing white in jubilation because he feels that things are better. When the NDC promised us National Apprenticeship Program, went ahead in 2025 to make an allocation of 300 million for National Apprenticeship Program, and they disbursed just 24 million out of the 300 million. And you are happy that things are right in this country today.
I don't think I.
Please,
I don't
please,
think I said.
Please,
I don't think I said that.
Please,
I said.
Please, Salom.
You
did indicate to us just a good morning message, but you did indicate to us that you are wearing white because previous years the murky stuffs and then things are clear now. But it's so surprising that as a skilled worker, as somebody who have job on your hands, who is a creative person, the government promised National Apprenticeship Program. And a budget allocation of 300 million, they released just 24 million, and you think that it is good news for the people of this country. You sit here, a Jumeirah program, as at today, disbursement haven't still been made, just the Bruno region. When we talk about some of these things, people think that we are in opposition, and so we decide to oppose everything that the government does. Till today, till this morning, a Jumeirah hasn't disbursed money for the 2025 cohort of people who want to venture into businesses and all of that, and you think it's good news. Today we are hearing that the NPRA boss and then the NPRA board is securing or arranging for 700 million loan facility to begin a phase 2 of a head office complex that phase 1 hasn't even been commissioned, and you think it is good news. We are hearing that the NPRA boss is awarding a consultancy contract for the same job description that he has created a directorate for, paying about 4 million Ghana cedis, and you think it is good news. We are hearing that they went for a Bentley 2 weeks program, and then it is costing the state about 10 million, and you think that is good news. And so you are wearing white, and you are here to cast innuendos and aspersions at the previous government. Please, if you think that your government is in power and then you feel like jubilating, that is fine for you. Nobody will hold you into any arms. But don't come and sit here and then patronize anybody in this country. You can't patronize anybody in this country. Please, we beg you.
I have not patronized anyone.
We beg you.
I have not made any disparaging remark about anyone.
We beg you.
I am only saying that this is the first time wearing white after so many years.
No problem.
Because I can see that there's some effort on the part of the current managers of the economy
a leading crusader of corruption,
to create some
a leading crusader of good governance,
and that is what I'm saying.
What has the government done to create some transparency?
There's transparency. There is tolerance. There is opportunity now for me to express my views without.
You talk about tolerance.
I talk about transparency. I talk about tolerance. I talk about those things because we hold those things so dear to our heart. But it is right. It is right in the sense that is what is supposed to accompany democracy. Wherever democracy is, that is what is supposed to accompany it. When your government had the opportunity to steer the affairs of this country, what they did was to suppress the freedom of these people. There was no tolerance. That is what we're saying, and you must take that in as an honest feedback from us. No problem. Please take that. Don't stick to be engaging in misconstruction because of what I said. I said it. That transparency, because that is what white reflects. So please,
you've made your point.
I take serious exception of that.
No.
I am not pressurizing.
I don't want
anyone.
Salam.
My brother, box on now. Box on.
Yes. I don't want us to dwell on this.
Because we have, yes, there's something there.
I do not want us to dwell on this.
Thank you.
One thing that I want us to even pass a quick comment on, and that's even because of you, is on the Malemet's sentencing.
You want to know my position?
Yes. What do you make of that? You brought him here to Ghana. I was there when he came to Ghana. At the suggestion, I was there. I was at that event. Yeah.
Exactly. Arresting a political activist, a radical one like that, it goes with the territory. Yes. So if you are in that space, you must always prepare yourself for moments like that. Yes. So that is why during the reign or the regime of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, some of us psychologically we prepared ourselves because it goes with the territory. You have chosen to call out government, and it comes with such risk. So that's it. Because he's adored. He's adored and idolized by young Africans, particularly progressive ones. those progressive Africans, young Africans, they draw enormous inspiration from Julius Malema. That's it. So yesterday when the court decided to convict him to a 5-year prison term, I was not taken aback at all, because that is a system. They will always want to suppress you. But as a radical activist, you must always soldier on. So we are with him. We solidarize with him. We know that he will go through this thing unscathed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very well. Thank you. Derrick, I don't know if you want to pass any comment on that as well quickly, and then let's move on to the OSP's issue.
Yes. The politics we do in our continent and then in our country leaves a lot for us to desire. I mean, you can clearly see that this is a persecution, but on the brighter side, is an opportunity for Julius Malema to prove to the South African people what he is made of, and then the firebrand that he wields. And please, I repeat my words, Salom shouldn't patronize us. If you think your government is in power, and then you are enjoying certain levels of liberty, don't make it look like every single person in this country is enjoying that liberty. What is happening to Baba Mando? Recently, wasn't Abronia apprehended?
I deplored it.
What haven't happened to Kofi Fosu?
Persistent with the kind of politics I do, I deploy it.
Don't come and sit here and sing praises to your government.
I deploy it.
Don't come and sit here. Don't come and sit here.
The one in the helm now.
Don't come and sit here and patronize.
So that one is well made. Let's go to the OSP's issue. Yesterday, your initial comments on that, and then moving forward, what do you think that the OSP's office will be looking like?
I think that as a country, I always say this, and last week I made the indication that we need to be principled in this country. Because we can't always approbate and reprobate. We can't promise the Ghanaian people A, and when we come, we give them Z. That is a problem in this country, especially when you have a government that during campaigning times made us understand how they will build and establish the office of the Special Prosecutor. You would recall that when the Honorable Martin Amidu resigned as the OSP, and then Kissi Agyabeng's name came up for nominations, and then he was nominated for the office of the OSP. The NDC and the friends of the NDC said that Kissi Agyabeng was a friend of Gabi Asare-Okyere, and so he wouldn't be effective in manning his office, and then he wouldn't be able to prosecute those in government as part of his mandate as the Special Prosecutor. And so they will oppose to his nomination or otherwise appointment. But fast forward, we all have seen the works of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, not all that I may be happy about, but as a party that promised the people to strengthen the fight against corruption. President John Dramani Mahama has spoken about it countless times, even upon assumption of office. But they can't sit and tell us that the Special Prosecutor, they are taking away his prosecutorial powers from him. When the Special Prosecutor cleared President John Dramani Mahama, then candidate Mahama, on the Airbus issue, then this is sang praises of the Special Prosecutor. I mean, there have been countless number of issues that even as a Special Prosecutor, he has come against people in government. He made a case about the Venerable Ken Ofori-Atta. And that is the reason for some of these things that we are experiencing in this country. And so if we wake up one morning and the Office of the Attorney General that has a mandate of the country's attorney, because the Special Prosecutor is the country's lawyer. And so if there is any case or charge brought against the country or any agency of the country, it is expected that you go in to defend whoever that the charge is brought against. But surprisingly, in a surprise turn of events, you have the OSP who a matter has been brought against, and then you have an Attorney General who files submissions in support of charges or whatever that has been brought against the office of the OSP. And it is sad, it is alarming. Looking at the office of the Special Prosecutor and looking at the Attorney General, who is the state's lawyer, the country's lawyer, there are a lot of cases that the office of the Attorney General is handling. In any case, my bosses matter, the Honorable Vincent Kwasifua versus the AG on the Chief Justice issue. The court had to adjourn on countless occasions because the Office of the Attorney General wasn't even filing their responses. And so it comes back to talk about the chunk of work that is on the office of the AG. And so I may not want to even look into the legalities or otherwise of the matter. But on the surface value, you look at the AG as an office that has a lot of matters to handle. And so if in our fight against corruption, we set up an office as the Office of the Special Prosecutor to handle some of these matters, we are somewhat reducing the office into an investigative body. Because after your investigation, you may have to submit your dockets to the AG's office, or you may have to, as it were, get an approval from the AG's office before you can proceed on a matter. Recently, let's not forget that the Honorable Kwame Asare-Obeng, in an interview, said that Oral is condemned, Oral is dead on arrival, because there are people in government who have bought state lands and then they are almost done building. And so, is this a matter that the OSP is about investigating, and that is why they have stripped off that his mandate or his power from him? You see, we as a people in this country should be very cautious of some of the things that we are doing. And I keep saying that a day and a time is coming where people will rise up in arms against political actors. That day is soon, and it's coming closer. And there will be no escape route for either of us seated here. There will be no escape route for us because the people are giving up on us. We promise them A, we give them Z. We assure them of these things. Last time I was watching one of their journalists, and then the person was screaming aloud that you call out somebody as a thief for 8 years, and 16 months down the lane, there hasn't been any, as it were, concrete issues about those people. What is happening in this country? And you have an office that has been mandated to handle some of these issues. I mean, when the OSP came after Kenoforiata, NPP was still in government, let's not forget that. And so, is it the fear that he will start coming against people like the NPRA CEO and the likes? Is that the reason why they want to strip him of that prosecutorial powers? Is it the reason why they may want to demoralize the OSP? Please, we can't promise the people a fight against corruption. We can't promise the people that we will protect the public purse. We can't promise the people certain levels of surety. And at the end of the day, we give them otherwise or the opposite of it. Because don't forget that prior to Parliament rising, the majority leader and the chief whip had filed or had presented a motion for the scrapping of the office of the OSP. And it took the president...
The president intervened.
Yeah. And so, I mean, we as students of politics, some of these things, we understand it better. And we look at it from different perspectives. I may not want to sit here and make it even look like it wasn't on genuine grounds. But we give that...
The president's intervention wasn't on genuine grounds.
That's what I'm saying. I may not want to sit here...
I'm just repeating.
I may not want to sit here and make it look like the intervention of the president wasn't on genuine grounds. Let's even give him that credit that it was on genuine grounds. But what is happening today?
As against what he said.
What he said leaves more to be desired. Because I am of the fear that when you take away those that prosecutorial power from the OSP, what is the communication that we are sending across? What are we telling the people? Are we scared that he will come after our own appointees? Are we scared that he will come after those in government today? Is it that there's an allegation of the purchase of state lands, and so the OSP will come after those people? So let's take away the prosecutorial powers from them. Because you see, when you look at government since time immemorial, everybody as a candidate has a problem with the office of the Attorney General coupled with the Minister of Justice. Because they have the express opinion that if you have a Minister of Justice who is supposed to handle some of these things, and the person is part of the executive government, how will he be able to even come after his own people? And you have the AG who the first thing that he did upon assumption of office is to find all the prosecutor for continuing cases. And so that alone is evidence enough that his own people, he may not be able to even come after them. And so if you have the office of the Special Prosecutor, because look, let us not forget that we had a referral to the office of the OSP and then IOCO on the third vice chairman of the NDC and then the national organizer on Galamsey issues. Over a year now, and there hasn't been any report on those investigations. It comes to talk about the clear restrictions that the office has been facing. And so if you go on to, as the AG, you file responses in support of what the plaintiff, as a defendant, of the issues that the plaintiff is raising, it leaves more to be desired.
Okay. Thank you very much. Derrick is a communications team member for the NPP joining me this morning. Also, Prince Kuma is here with us. He's also a member of the communications team for the NDC. Prince, how are you doing?
I'm good, KMJ.
Good to have you on the show.
Good to have you guys.
Great. All right, I'll come to you, but let me have the take of Salom on this very issue as well. Salom, did you see this happening? That is one of the offices that we are hoping that will deal with corruption issue. Now, the power to even do that has been taken away.
Yeah. Before I answer your question, let me do something that is customary of me to say a very good morning to the good people of Central Town constituency, North Town constituency, and South Town constituency who are watching Joy Prime live. KMG.
I'm right.
What is when the court ruled that the OSP the OSP lacked prosecutorial powers to prosecute corruption and corruption-related offenses on his own. When the court ruled that the Special Prosecutor or the OSP, the Office of Special Prosecutor, doesn't have, or it is not autonomous when it comes to prosecutorial powers. I was displeased. Oh yeah. It doesn't bode well for the kind of anti-corruption we want to build in this country. We want to strengthen the anti-corruption fight. We want to make corruption a very expensive venture. Yes, it will be so dear for you to engage in corruption. The OSP came into fruition as a result of a campaign promise made by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in 2016 because we were lamenting the inability of the Attorney General to prosecute their own. So he, judging the mood and sentiment and the feelings on the ground, he decided to make that a campaign promise that he will establish the Office of Special Prosecutor. And when he came, or he assumed power, he fulfilled that promise. But that is why it's difficult for some people to even get into the legalities of it, the constitutionality of that office. I will venture into it, but without prejudice to what is yet to be determined by the Supreme Court, because the case is sub judice. But I will do it in order not to be cited for contempt. Look, the constitutional provision that establishes the Office of Attorney General is an entrenched one and has vested in the Attorney General prosecutorial powers. It is only the Attorney General that can prosecute for and on behalf of the state. No other state institutions can do so without the say-so of, or without express authorization emanating from the Attorney General. So when the legislation that set up the Office of Special Prosecutor, when this matter broke out, when the court ruled, my initial reaction was, but the Attorney General, the initiation of the process to get this legislation was superintended by the Attorney General. So it was Attorney General that led the process to secure or procure legislative backing to establish the OSP. So therefore, on that basis, the Attorney General by law should be extolled from making this effort to restrain or to ask the court to restrain or to take their prosecutorial powers from the OSP. That was my initial decision, that it emanated from the Attorney General, because it was through the Attorney General that the legislation was procured. But reading around and judging what happened, you see, when Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo assumed power in 2017, and his first State of the Nation's address in 2017, he made a comment that was so instructive of what he was coming to do. He said that some people were saying that he was a man in a hurry, and he confirmed that he was indeed a man in a hurry. It was that day that it dawned on me that we were heading for some decay and deterioration.
Why so? Because, I mean, at that point, you should also know that he has said a lot of things that he wants to ensure that those things are done.
The concrete problem, the concrete challenges bedeviling this country doesn't need a man in haste to solve them. It needs a man with sense of thoroughness to get them resolved. That's it. So haste makes waste. And that is what is reflecting, or that's what we are discussing today. You see, in their haste to get that campaign promise done, and with the motivation to set up that institution to become, to provide it with a witch hunting tool or weapon, they stop short of giving the OSP through independence. Because the Constitution is explicitly clear that you can only get your prosecutorial powers from the Attorney General. Today, the Attorney General is saying, no, you don't have the autonomy to prosecute cases on your own.
Something that could have been given to him by the Attorney General himself.
Exactly. So we are coming there. What I see is this, and that is what has been militating against our fight against corruption. Too much ego among our institutions. So we have actually taken institutional synergy to the gallows. It doesn't exist. There's no institutional synergy, because the Attorney General ordinarily should be cooperating with, or should be working with the OSP. The OSP should be working with the Attorney General, because the OSP is a special purpose vehicle to fight corruption and corruption-related cases. So Attorney General today is saying no, he doesn't have that powers, and it has been upheld by the court. So what then becomes of the existence of the OSP? Yamutu. But the Attorney General, I have a word of advice to him. The Mahama administration, when Mahama was, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was canvassing for votes, soliciting votes, they mentioned or told us something, they promised us something, Operation Retrieve or Loot.
Yeah.
Look, it was that thing that inspired some of us. It provided a spring in our steps to campaign vigorously for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama because of that promise. Because at the time that campaign promise was made, there was before us a kleptocratic regime, a very corrupt regime, a regime that was crawling with people who wanted to become rich beyond the dreams of avarice at the expense of the suffering masses. That was what was obtaining at the time. So that promise was actually made, it was predicated on the sentiments on the ground. So it resonated well with majority of Ghanaians, and we voted for them. The Attorney General appears to me as somebody who is grossly or flagrantly underrating or underestimating the weight of oral. if oral fails.
But oral has failed.
If oral fails, it will jeopardize, it may jeopardize the democratic stability, because it will be so clear that perhaps the NPP and the NDC, they are in cahoots to come to government, loot us, and they go scot-free. That will be the perception. And what is perception? Perception is the logical or illogical deduction of things happening around you. So, would Ghanaians perception be logical if they come to that conclusion that indeed the NDC and the NPP are in cahoots, they collude to plunder the resources of this country, and when one has the opportunity to be in government and the other one is in opposition, they will be shouting hoarse that there's corruption. They will be screaming corruption. When you give them opportunity to come and fight corruption, then they are worse. That was what Nana Addo did. He portrayed himself as a champion of democracy, as champion of probity and accountability. When he had opportunity, he dismantled our democracy and put in kleptocracy. For 8 years, we had to contend with kleptocracy.
So simple OSP matter, and it's all about Akufo Addo and the NPP government.
Okay.
So the Attorney General, the Attorney General should be acutely aware that what is before him now, what Ghanaians expect him to do now, is to prosecute oral, is to implement oral. The zeal that he's exhibiting, the zeal that he's displaying in this matter, he should channel that zeal in implementing and executing oral. That is what we want now. Look, I have never been a fan of the OSP, but given what is happening now, my position has changed. The OSP we should get the necessary constitutional self-ready to protect that office. The current Attorney General, like my brother rightly said, when they assumed power, the first thing that he did, to the dismay and chagrin of some CSO, was this nolly prosecutor thing. And all those people happen to be NDC. And that person now, the only independent institution mandated to fight corruption and corruption-related cases, that same person is now trying to divest him of his independence to prosecute. If the OSP, like the court rule now, if the OSP truly is divested of his prosecutorial powers and independence, the independent prosecutorial powers, the OSP will just be reduced to a mere investigative body. Yeah. That's what my brother said.
And the question is, why are we keeping that office?
So why are we keeping that office? Why are we keeping it? Then we might as well, scrap it and bring something. But you know what? Do we even need, at this stage of democracy and at this stage of 21st century, Ghana is so fixated, especially our political actors, on proliferation of institutions. You remember we had a serious fraud office.
Yeah.
UK has same institution. Have they changed it? But we quickly change it to Ioku. And so are others. So we have this thing to be like proliferating institutions. Let's strengthen them. The president rightly said that the OSP has just been in existence for about 10 years. So it will be premature for that discussion to even take place as to whether the OSP should be scrapped. The president was damn right. So that is why the president must call his Attorney General to order. That what he's doing is not in keeping with the mood of the people of this country. His effort appears to us as somebody who is trying to, roll back the gains we have made in terms of fighting corruption. It is true that the OSP has not been able to, get us tangible results. But the OSP, you see, there's a difference between the SP and the OSP. So the SP is the special prosecutor. And the person there now is lawyer,
is the office.
Lawyer Kissi Agyabeng.
Yeah.
Lawyer Kissi Agyabeng made it clear to the good people of this country that he said it at a program organized by One Ghana, that he was a reluctant occupier of that office. Elsewhere, that gentleman would have resigned on his own volition. He would have resigned. Look, because a person mandated to fight corruption must have the drive. So clearly he doesn't have the drive.
You're there against your will.
Exactly, against his will. That it was an office that was forced on him. What is he doing there? He should resign. And let's get somebody with the zeal of a religious fanatic to do that work for us. A selfless, fearless person to do it. This gentleman must resign. And some of us have been calling for his resignation time without number. He should resign. Because he himself, nobody put a gun to his head to say what he said publicly. That is a reluctant occupier of that office. That office must be occupied by a selfless, fearless person who will be going after corrupt individuals. That is the kind of thing we want to see. Okay. So it is Kissi Agyabeng is the problem, not the OSP.
Very well. Thank you very much, Salam. Let me hand the take of Prince Kuma, who speaks for the NDC as well, here with me in the studio. Prince.
KMG.
Yeah.
A very good morning. Today happens to be my maiden appearance on this platform, and I think it's only appropriate to say a special good morning to you or our listeners. I must also commend President Mahama, who is the head of state and head of government, for restoring the dignity of the Ghanaian economy. I mean, a certain impression sought to be created that we are not doing anything, giving the promises we give to Ghanaians. Yet the government might have not been able to fulfill all its promises. And it's only logical to accept same, because it cannot govern for about 15 months, 1 year, or let me say 15 months, and expect all policies to be implemented. But what was at the center of our campaign was that our economy was on the verge of collapsing, and there was an urgent need to restore the dignity of our economy. And that is what President Mahama has done over the period. And what is even worth commenting is on the back of the fact that President Mahama did not go around delivering lectures or parading himself as the economy rescue to come and save Ghana's economy, but has delivered based on results. And so if you look at our city that was depreciating, today it is appreciating. By end of year last year, it was appreciated by 40.7%. If you look at our inflation that we paid from 23.8%, it has reduced further to 3.2% single-digit inflation. Your gross international reserve, we have increased it from 8.9 billion to about $18.8 billion. If you look at our import cover, we've increased it from about 3 months to 5.7 months, almost 6 months now. Meaning that as a country, we have enough reserve to be able to meet our, import obligation in the next, 6 months. So clearly, the president must be commended. He promised to scrap some taxes, e-levy, betting tax, COVID levy, which has scrapped. Today, a young man listening to us, maybe 3 days ago, Basa disappointed you. Baba Omer would have taken your money, whether you won the bet or not. They would have still taken your money. But today it's no longer in place. So we have a government that's listening to the people. We have tensions in the Middle East. The government have listened, or has listened to the cries of Ghanaians to suspend some levies to be able to keep our fuel prices at reasonable rates. So it's only fair for what I want to consider a sane man to appreciate the very good works of Mahama, President Mahama. It is also not out of place for anyone to offer constructive criticisms of the government. As the president rightly stated at his first meeting with the media, that we should put his government to the fire of accountability. So President Mahama is not impervious to sound criticisms. So everybody should be at liberty to criticize government, offer what you may consider as policy gaps. However, we should not make any attempt to obscure simple facts. On the issue of the OSP, I believe the OSP has largely been criticized, simply because many believe that it has not lived up to the expectation. It has not delivered results that commensurate with the resources we have committed to it over the years. And so most people are saying that Kissi Agyabeng, if you Paul Adumochi, who we all know to be a sympathizer of the NPP, was lamenting over the car the OSP is using. And I was wondering whether a special prosecutor in this country should not be using an armored vehicle. But we had a challenge over that. What we are discussing today is as a result of a suit filed by an accused person, Peter Hyde, right, praying the High Court to direct officials of OSP to produce authorization from the Attorney General's office to initiate prosecution and investigation into his own case. So Mr. Peter Hyde believes that the OSP requires authorization from the Attorney General before it can initiate prosecution. So it's more or less like police. You have a police officer entering into the studio. You want to arrest KMG. KMG is saying that I think we need an arrest warrant, or I want to see your valid ID as a proof to show that indeed you are a police officer. That's what simply Mr. Hyde is requesting, which is slightly different from the suit before the Supreme Court now. The suit before the Supreme Court is challenging Parliament authority to create another institution to prosecute. And so the crux of the matter is whether the OSP requires express authorization from the Attorney General before it can initiate investigations or prosecutions. I'm not a lawyer, so I decided to follow some legal opinions advanced on this. And former Attorney General of the Republic, Mr. Ni Ayuk argues that the OSP can only legally and constitutionally operate when we amend Article 88, that grants express or exclusive rights or prosecutorial right to the Attorney General. Then the shocking part was what the former Speaker of Parliament said, Professor Michael Quay. He is saying that he supported the ruling of the High Court. This is former Speaker of Parliament and the MPP, nominated by the MPP, approved by a majority of MPP members in 2017, 169 MPs. He is saying he supports the ruling of the High Court, saying that we need to amend the Constitution of Ghana to make room for the OSP to be able to prosecute, because the OSP cannot coexist, or the Attorney General cannot coexist with any other prosecutorial body, because Article 88 grants exclusive prosecutorial right to the Attorney General office. So the Speaker who presided the benefit of parliamentary proceedings and discussions and debate on the bill or the law, the OSP's Act, is telling us today that he admits that there's a problem with the establishment of the OSP. These are about constitutional flaws. But he, as a speaker, when he was asked, you were the speaker, why didn't you raise objections to it? He said, he was only presiding over proceedings and he couldn't have in any way influenced the outcome. So that means that as far back as 2017, the Speaker of Parliament, who is actually an MPP member, knew very well there's a problem with the establishment of the Office of the Special Prosecutor when the Constitution is not amended. So the problem here is, or the suit before the Supreme Court, it's a matter of, we amending the Constitution to be able to give room to the Special Prosecutor to be able to operate. Now, you asked a question about, you made a statement which I beg to differ, about why the Attorney General not granting the OSP prosecutorial powers. The Attorney General cannot do that, please.
But you knew that when you took office.
No.
That the Attorney General doesn't have the power to do that. Yet you said that he should follow cases, criminal cases. When you were aware that the OSP doesn't have the power to prosecute.
No, please.
I'm also asking you, the Attorney General didn't know that.
You allow me to finish.
No, because you said you disagree, and you're making a statement based on that.
Yes.
And I'm saying, when you took office, and the OSP was chasing all those criminal cases, the AG didn't know that he didn't have the power to prosecute them.
If I recall, if my memory serves me right, I don't remember any instance where the Attorney General expressly instructed the OSP to take up some matters. If you look at Mr. Kenoforete's,
that's not what is asking.
No.
The question I'm asking is not about. I'm saying you are aware. Was he not aware that
who is not aware
that AG does not have that power? If he was chasing all those
chasing Kenoforete,
if he had followed the legal opinion of Mr. or Honorable Dominic Ayeni way back in opposition, his long-held view has been that the OSP must not exist.
That is why he must have.
So what was he doing when he took over?
Please. That is why today he's in support of a suit. He's in support of a suit. A legal opinion of an Attorney General does not automatically translate to a verdict. The Attorney General or legal opinion cannot take away the establishment of the Special Prosecutor. So that's why it requires an interpretation from the Supreme Court. And to answer your question about...
Okay, so give me a minute. Hold your thought for me. You made references to Michael Quay and I quote. Exactly. So let's have a take on that for the benefit of our viewers.
So we know that until Article 88 is amended, there is no way that you can give authority to any other person to prosecute. So what is stopping the office of the Special Prosecutor from seeking the authorization as is contained in both the Constitution and its own act to enable him prosecute. But we thought, in politics, you try to or sometimes play to the gallery and try to see if you can, gain some support from the public. So we said, well, this is what we intend to do. We'll create an office for a special prosecutor and give him powers to prosecute when it comes to corruption. But we know that it will be well nigh impossible until we amend Article 88 of the Constitution. And that has not been done. So this is nothing new.
From the beginning, some of us made some of these remarks. The Attorney General is the sole prosecutor in this country by law. So says the Constitution. Therefore, if we want to create some other body or authority, we must be careful in doing that. And I believe that in future, like I said not long ago, all our institutions must be made stronger. And we should stop making or legislating the proliferation of institutions. The institution that is there to do a job, give it every authority, every facility, every human power, every ICT resource, anything, so that they can deliver. And if we find it necessary, then we dissociate the Attorney General from the government, because that's the fear of an Attorney General not prosecuting members of the government. So this is something that must be finally resolved. I trust that it will go finally to the Supreme Court. Then we shall know for sure that in actual fact, the constitutional provisions we give the Attorney General as the sole authority to prosecute cannot coexist with another organization until the law of the Constitution is changed.
The law was passed during your time as the Speaker of Parliament.
Oh yes, I'm very, very much aware of that. But you see, the Speaker doesn't vote. The Speaker may only express a personal opinion, but nevertheless, the members must vote. It is not a strange ruling at all. We must soberly look at it and then come to a conclusion on the law.
So you agree with the courts yesterday?
I said that very recently, because the Constitution makes a provision. And I happen to be a very legalistic person. If it's against the law, it's against the law.
So that's the former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, speaking on the issue of the OSP's office. And I'm asking myself, and I'm sure everybody will be asking the same question, how did we make this, happen in the first place?
Yes. And so, as I argued earlier, he was the Speaker.
Yeah, you wrap up.
He was the Speaker with the benefit of all proceedings and debate on the subject. I didn't hear him as far back as 2017 expressing his personal opinion, as he did mention here. But today, he's support of the ruling from the High Court. Honorable Haruna Iddrisu, as far back as 2017, also said something that the law actually was pregnant with constitutional flaws. And I want to believe the High Court more or less served as a midwife to deliver that baby. That constitutional flaw has been established and delivered by the High Court. And so clearly, and to land on this, the Attorney General, as I said, cannot unilaterally grant prosecutorial powers to the OSP. No, until the Act is amended to be in sync with the Constitution, or the Constitution is amended to align with the Act. The Attorney General cannot just say that, oh, I know you lack prosecutorial powers, I'm giving it to you. No, he cannot do that. So the Supreme Court should wait to determine the issue so that we can see what progress will be.
Great. So my problem here is this. If the AG knows, obviously, after taking office, he knew very well that the Attorney General does not have that power to prosecute people. Yet, we gave him that mandate to be chasing corruption cases, criminal cases. And for the past year or so, this has been going back and forth. Yeah. And some people in this country are actually attacking the office of the OSP. because he's not able to actually even convict one person, say, oh, as for this person, we say that he's going straight to prison because he owns Ghana a certain amount of money. And the AG office is aware of this. And the AG knows that it will take an amendment or a certain procedural process, whatever it is, to make sure that that power is given to the OSP. Why are we still where we are now? And nothing of those things have been done. That is the question that I'm asking.
You see,
it's been how many months now? And you know that there's supposed to be a process for amendments before he would have that power. If you so believe that our office is even important in the first place, or will add anything to our fight against corruption, the first thing you should be thinking of is, how do I give this person the power to prosecute the people he's chasing?
Well, I do not entirely disagree with you on this, but I want to believe that, as I said earlier, it's a long-held view of the Attorney General that there's actually a constitutional flaw. He has no problem with another president.
But he knows the flaw. He's aware of the flaw.
The flaw here, that's why he's in support of the suit before the Supreme Court. We are waiting for the Supreme Court.
If the ruling never came.
Was he the one who sent it?
Exactly, if the ruling, so if the ruling never came, would have still been here.
Well, that's
would have been 4 years. And that's why we were just walking about.
That's why my statement was, I do not entirely disagree with your position. I do not. I disagree. But I am waiting on the Supreme Court to determine on this, make a pronouncement on this case to ensure that, okay, that the OSP has prosecutorial or have prosecutorial powers. If it doesn't, then that will be reduced to more or less an investigative body. Is there a need to scrap it? Some people, even NPP, are arguing today that we
should scrap the OSP office.
And so if you have to scrap it, it means that we have to now amend it to give
which
a more proper
way before this.
And the Speaker should have done this country great service, or Professor Michael Quay. But he said he didn't have any voting rights anyway. So for the past...
And he never even expressed his views.
I blame both parties.
No, but I suspect something.
Yeah.
You know, he's now telling us after the fact that indeed his position then was that the creation, the legislative backing given to the special prosecutor was flawed. It was his view when he was the Speaker of Parliament. But just that he couldn't express it. But today he has the freedom to express to express that view. You know why? The situation at the time wouldn't have allowed him to make that suggestion.
Wow.
Yes.
All the situation.
Occupying that position.
Is that?
Occupying that position.
No. It was something that was being bulldozed through by a man in haste who was totally impervious to suggestions. You remember his own cousin who was mismanaging our kitty, Mr. Kenokuriata. One time decided to suggest to the president that given the lousy implementation of the free SHS, that the free SHS was consuming a considerable amount of our budget allocation. So he would suggest to the president that at least they should do means testing. He said this thing to us, that was his suggestion to the president, but the president wouldn't take that. He said, go ahead. So at the environment there, the environment at the time, I maintain that we had a president at the time whose conduct was beyond or outside the boundaries of presidential behavior, who from time to time will be dabbling or engaging himself in that pedestrian, pathetic riot of name calling. You remember, all the persons who raised suggestions, who offered advice, sound advice to the president then, he rebuffed all those advice. He rebuffed it. He shrugged those advice off, and he engaged in name calling, something unpresidential. So today, when we say that the environment is liberating, the environment today is liberating, people should have the stomach for it to take it, that it is true. So look, former speaker, because of the intolerance then. He couldn't have expressed his dissenting view. He was afraid to express it. Today he has the freedom to express it freely. Look at where he expressed it. Beautifully done. So that is it. He doesn't, because of partisanship, for fear of his party maybe ostracizing or alienating him, he would have said that the president then, if he had ventured to make a dissenting view, he would have been stripped off his
that could also not be the case. That could also be the case. Maybe they have his genuine reasons why he didn't speak against it at that time, and not because the president would have taken any action.
But that was the obvious. That was the environment.
But it's not a true reflection of what he would have probably done at the time.
But what is he doing now?
Okay.
He is doing this today freely, expressing his views freely. He's not being manacled by any government antics, like political antics, to manacle and stifle his right to speak.
That's why he has the freedom to do that now.
He has the freedom to do it now, and it's so beautiful. That's what we are encouraging. Never again should we Ghana witness that kind of intolerant leader.
Derrick, is Salom telling us today that, okay, assuming what he's even saying is true, that it is the previous government that, or the Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo's leadership that prevented the venerable Right Honorable Professor Michael Quay from expressing his view. If we all watch the video and listen carefully, he said that this is his long-held opinion and view.
He couldn't express.
He didn't say that. He said he couldn't have influenced it because at the time he was a speaker, and our laws are clear. As a speaker, you're not a member of parliament, and so you have no responsibility in influencing even decisions of the House. But if today you are sitting here telling us that, please, Salom, telling us that it is because of the encumbrances at the time.
Yes.
Then you leave me with no other option than to also...
The encumbrances.
You leave me with no other option than to also believe that it is the encumbrances of today that is preventing Parliament from laying the proper family values bill on the floor of Parliament. Maybe, just maybe. Maybe, just maybe.
The LGBTQ. LGBTQ. I just want to be clear. The LGBT.
But I spoke about family proper.
Okay.
So maybe, just maybe.
Priority.
Maybe, just maybe. It is the happenings of today that is preventing Parliament from also laying that. If that becomes the standard, then we all agree to it.
That's the priority of the NPP.
Then we all agree to it. And so please,
Let him finish.
I'm very good at these heckles and what have you.
Okay.
But you see, when
you were talking, he was very quiet.
I don't want us to do that lane. That is why
it's not even good for our viewers, and I will not tolerate that.
Let's respect our viewers.
Let's not go on that level at all.
I am genuinely sorry.
I did indicate earlier that if today your government is in power, your government is in office, and you feel that you sympathize with the NDC, and so they're in government today, you want to sing their praises, you can do that. But don't patronize anybody on this platform. Don't patronize any of your viewers. We beg you. If you are enjoying the peace, the serenity, the comfort, and what you were thinking that you are not enjoying previously, because even today, the matter before us today that we are even discussing, you spoke for about 23 minutes, and 80 minutes of that is just against Akufo-Addo and the NPP government. You have your prerogative to do that, and nobody would come and fight you for your opinions on matters and what have you. But don't come and appear as though you are a neutral man, and then you are sympathizing with the ordinary Ghanaian, and then you sit here and then you make these allegations and unsubstantiated claims and what have you. And so please, if you are enjoying your peace and serenity today, it is fine for you. But the viewers are watching, the Ghanaian people are watching. What is happening to Baba Mando? What has been happening to Abronye? What has been happening to Kofi Fosunkansa? You sit on a panel like this and you allege, and then the next day Black Maria comes for you. And you think that is the democracy we all voted for.
But that is why we are consistent in deploring it. We are condemning that.
Derrick, go ahead. You have the floor. Go ahead.
You have the time.
Go ahead, bro.
Derrick, go ahead.
That is not democracy that we voted for. That is not what our forefathers labored for. And so please, save us that aspersions and innuendos, and later you come and then you want to patronize somebody on this platform as if that what the NDC is providing for us is what is good governance all about. You think that's what good governance is all about? That a sympathizer of the opposition party makes a post on social media, and the next moment he's been arrested. And he's been, you see, we are in this country where you would have a judge when even the prosecution is not opposed to bail, but the judge, it's not opposed to, but the judge sentence or remands the accused person. and you think that is what we need to be enjoying as a country. You think that is what our forefathers labored for. You think that is what you Arise Ghana stands for.
He's addressing.
You think that is what you stand for.
Yeah, but you also address him.
You think that is what Arise Ghana stands for. You think that is what Arise Ghana stands for. Please, let us not be doing this.
I am the chief commander of Harungi.
When you follow the Uganda election, you see Bobby Wine had to find a way to leave the country. Yeah. Is that what we are looking for our nation?
That was what happened under Nana Addo Dankwa. It's a sanguine hand.
President John Dramani Mahama, after winning the 2024 election, after winning the 2024 election, he said that he stayed in this country for 8 years in opposition. He didn't relocate abroad. Yeah. And so he's expecting another Dankwa Akufo-Addo to also live in this country. He hasn't relocated abroad. That is the democracy we have fought for. Don't come and create issues, and when the government is being called out, don't come and patronize anybody on this platform. When the government is being called out, don't come and, especially when you appear as though you are a neutral person and then you are fighting for the interests of the ordinary Ghanaian. Myself and Prince, we are extremists when it comes to our party lines. And so if we are making those conversations and those allegations, it may be to some far extent to be understandable. But you sit here, you want to appear as a neutral person and you want to patronize somebody. If your party's in government, sympathize with them.
Hello. Let me do some few messages from our viewers and then we'll make progress. On Facebook, on Facebook, Ganiu Makarigu from Savannah region says that President John Dramani Mahama is essentially suggesting that if people can't afford to provide for meals like banku or fufu at home, they should resort to drinking tea instead. Despite being aware of the economic hardships facing citizens, it comes across as though he is presenting tea as a solution. And Aaron Babakunku Commissioner says, good morning to you. For years, prisons have been busting out at the seams, often because we are locking up people for minor non-violent offences that don't belong behind bars. Parliament finalizing the Community Service Bill 2026 is a massive win for common sense. Why waste taxpayer money feeding someone in a congested cell when they could be cleaning our streets, painting schools, or desilting gutters? It's time to move away from punishment only and toward making offenders give back to the communities they had. Let's get this passed and implemented properly. And elsewhere, this is the big way to go. And I don't know why, we have people sitting in prisons and not really being used for community service like the way other countries are doing, but that's what it is. And we have got some messages on Facebook, so let me try and read some of them, and then we'll come back to the issue of President's Banku. He said Banku. This one says, hey, this issue. My ex left me because of, Education is the key. Formal education is a key. Success in its basic form is not dependent on formal education. And of course, a certain level of success that one seeks to achieve will demand that he acquire formal education. But being successful as in acquiring enough wealth and living as a successful person doesn't depend on formal education. All right, let me go to this one. Says, good day. I think formal education is still the path to modern slavery instead of success. Okay, these are some old comments that have come through. I think I have to go up and see what's over there. Guys, help me out. Okay. Good morning, KMJ. Mr. Arise Ghana, please stop pretending you are neutral. You can't deceive us. Ike in Kuforidia sent him that. Let me go to Gasti in Brekum. He says that KMJ, the most dangerous people in the world are the people who sing praises around the president for their own personal interest. They are fake. That's exactly what the NDC guy in Ghana flag in your studio is doing. He always attracts Nanado unnecessarily. He's Arise Ghana. Newton in Oyarifa says, good morning. I think this health care policy deserves recommendation. If you travel to the hinterland, you would see poverty in real. You will cry, mama, to my NPP communicators. Think and again before opening your mouth on this good policy. Well done, President Mahama. God richly bless you. Let me go to this one over here. And it says, good morning to you and your panel. Extend my greetings to them. They've heard you. I will make time to listen and contribute to test time from Jonah Kenka Bezindima from Pipira in the Timpani constituency, Upper East region. Very interesting places in this country. I discover most of them over here on this show from where people send their messages from. And I think that we have so many places to actually go, and check out this country. Greetings to you, my brother. In fact, it's high time you stop inviting the NDC that has used Arise Ghana's jacket to cover himself to your show. Else, you would lose so many viewers. Is he telling us that in the Nanado's first 4 years, things were as bad yet Ghanaians renewed this mandate for a second term? Things were far better in the NPP first year in government than it's today. We can fight for our stomach, but we must do it with dignity. Sir Joe Gatanga. I'm sure there are many others who come on this show that also speak your interest, and you would want them to remain on the show. So yeah. Good morning, KMG and your panelists, especially the NDC communicator who is doing justice to your topics. Please tell the NPP guy that Nanado was the president who promised to protect the public purse and ended up raping and stealing the purse, just as Martin Amidu said. Nanado is the mother serpent of corruption, just as Alista Matias said. Nanado is his aid in siphoning about $40 million of gold monthly. It is very sweating listening to the youth in NPP defending the Nando Bawumia government, and with such youth in politics, Ghana is doomed, and Nanado must, as a matter of urgency, be arrested and prosecuted for causing financial loss to the state in terms of the useless and wasteful material which is now bleeding mosquitoes and reptiles. Nanado signed the LGBTQ bill when it was passed by Parliament. See someone talking about patronizing of Ghanaians. Bronye must be prosecuted for reckless and senseless media statement, just like Baba Amandu, because we are building a nation and not a political party. Please tell the NPP guy to advise Ken Ofriatta and his NPP wants Ghanaians to see them as serious. And that's UK 180BA who sent in that. This one says, good morning, sir. The OSP is just like LI 2462, passed to legalize Galamsey by NPP to plunder the nation and provide the escape route for the officials like Ken Ofriatta and Cecilia Dapa to get away with millions of dollars found in their room. The Attorney General must not only take over the work of the OSP, but prosecute those who hide behind bad laws and illegality to plunder the nation. Hadi Impekfam also sent in this, and it says that, okay, Hadi's been sending a lot. The NPP is not a serious political party. A free primary healthcare policy had been in the greater NDC 2020-2024 manifestos, and the hard-working president as candidate then explained it during the 2 campaign seasons, and never did I hear any NPP member speaking ill of it, only for it to be launched for you to downplay it. The NPP should be mindful that politics then is not the same as now. People can really research and see the deceptions, lies, and fabrications from truth based on their personal experience. The NPP should eschew his arrogance and humble himself, because pride goes before a fall. Good morning to Dr. Ibrahim Mahama. May Allah bless and protect you. And that's some of the messages you've sent to us. I'll try and see if I can do some more before we wrap up this morning's conversation. But let's get to other conversations which has to do with our health. And speaking about that, I've got a nutritionist that I want to talk to briefly, and then would expand the conversation from there. And I think I've got Pearl on the other side to speak to on this very issue, as as far as our health is concerned. So let me see. Pearl, if you can hear me, Pearl Ezonam Salome RDN is a public relations officer, Ghana Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, and registered dietitian nutritionist as well. Pearl, I hope I got your middle name right. Good morning, and thanks for joining me this morning here on the show.
Good morning.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Now, the president, the first gentleman of the land, is asking all of us to be very mindful of what we eat and what time of the day. And we want to actually expand this a bit. What is the important thing that we all stand to gain from what the president is saying?
Okay, so thank you very much for having me and for this opportunity to speak on the president's call to reduce late night eating. Right. So late night eating can actually affect digestion, metabolism, and increase the risk of people getting certain conditions in the long term. And so it contributes to the bigger picture of increasing your risk of getting certain NCDs in the long term. Yeah.
All right. So in this case, it means that absolutely it is proper for any individual to ensure that they eat very well and not eat late night. And if anybody is eating at that time, that person stands a chance of probably getting sick or, getting certain diseases and all of that. If I am working, if a president says that I'm supposed to be doing 24 hours and I'm working in that 24-hour period and I'm hungry, what are some of the food that you recommend that maybe around 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. if I am doing a shift because it's 24 hours economy and I'm hungry, what are some of the food that you think that I can eat at that time?
Okay, so the key thing here is balance and appropriate timing. Guided by the individual's needs. Like you rightly said, there are people who work late into the night.
Yeah.
And they are doing very heavy duty work. Okay, so such a person is different from somebody who is doing a sedentary work or not doing anything at all at that time of the night. And so with that, we really welcome the president's statement. Here is where we come in as professionals to guide the individuals. Like you said, people work at different times of the day. People work late nights. And so their nutritional needs will differ from people who are not doing any work at all at that time of the night. So when it comes to in terms of the food, the variety, the portion sizes and all, it will differ. And that is when professional guidance comes in.
All right, so what are some of the recommendations you can give for food around 1 a.m. or 2 a.m.? One of my cameramen is saying that you have to eat gobe. Around that time, you have to eat gobe. And I'm asking, is gobe, not going to also cause any problem at that time?
So like I said, I emphasized earlier on, it depends on what the person is doing. Right, we have some people who are in the mining area.
Yeah,
they are doing very heavy work, and so their nutritional need at that time will differ from somebody who is not doing any work at all. So for somebody who is not doing anything at 1 a.m. and going to have a big bowl of fufu or a big bowl of bamboo, it wouldn't help you.
Okay, so Pearl, if I'm getting you right, what you mean to say is if that person is doing a very heavy work around that time, the person can eat the fufu or the banku and do that job because the person is working or doing a heavy duty job.
So what I'm trying to say is that it depends on the individual needs. We cannot generalize it necessarily.
Yes, so I'm not generalizing it. I'm saying you mentioned that if somebody is doing a heavy duty job, that person is different from a person who is doing a light job, even at that time. So, for example, if I am just sitting in the office and I'm just in my computer thing and I'm hungry around 2 a.m. because I'm doing a 24-hour economy, it means that I can take light tea and still go and sit down and type. But if I am in the mines or someone else is in the mines and is lifting heavy machines and all of that, that person can eat the fufu and lift that machines at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay, it works.
So we're bottom line of what we are trying to say is that it depends on the individual's needs.
Exactly.
Caution has to be taken. You don't want to be sick. Eating certain foods at that time of the night and not using it for any activity.
Okay. And
so precaution has to be taken. And if people need further guidance, the Ghana Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, we are open. The nutritionists and dietitians across the country they are open to help and support individuals to make very informed decisions around this. Yeah.
Very well. Pearl, thank you so much for joining me this morning here on the show. I'm grateful. All right, so that was Pearl Exonam Salome, RDN, Public Relations Officer, Ghana Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, joining us this morning and speaking to us on the issue of the President's directive. Not necessarily directive. I mean, that's more or less like an advice for all of us to follow, actually. But Prince, how do we balance this with 24-hour economy? We've got nutritionists explaining things to us, so at least we have a good idea of how we're supposed to go about this. But would this not really stifle, the 24-hour economy policy in a way?
How is it going to stifle the 24-hour economy?
Because if I'm doing 24-hour economy and I'm hungry and I am not getting checked,
yes,
there's nobody on me to check that I am eating well. Yeah. Because when I'm eating that big bowl of banku, nobody's there going to say, oh, the president said we shouldn't eat this when you are eating it. You're on your own.
But the way for the understanding that 24-hour economy means working 24 hours, that one no longer has the time to go and then run checkups or screening. I don't think it's fair for you to start on that note, please.
Well, that is my own opinion about it. It's for you to explain that what
the president cautioned in 24-hour economy. I don't know why you sought to go on that.
Why is there not a correlation? You want to argue on this?
You are saying.
I am saying. No.
You are saying that if you are to work.
So let me explain to you.
Okay.
Since you want an explanation.
Yes.
I am saying you're doing 24-hour economy.
Yes.
Which is a policy everybody agrees is a good policy.
Yes.
If you're doing 24-hour economy and you get hungry at 2 a.m., and the president is saying that we all have to live a very healthy lifestyle.
Yes.
So we shouldn't be eating big bowl of banku and fufu at 2 a.m.
Yes.
or 1 a.m. or whatever it is.
Yes.
If I am doing the 24-hour economy at that period, what food can I eat at that time when I'm hungry? And you say there's no link to this. Why is there no link to that?
No. If your question
is either you're explaining to me why the president is saying that we shouldn't eat at that time and the benefit that comes, just like the nutritionists had explained. But if you say there's no link to that, how is there no link to this?
All right, you don't worry. If you're working actively, I don't. I mean, of course, I may want to seek expert opinion, but I know that time do matter when it comes to the choice of food.
Absolutely.
But if you're actively working at dawn, it requires that you eat some heavy food. But I believe what informed the president's comment is the fact that, well, if I'm to work, I mean, the general understanding that Ghanaians do work from somewhere 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And so if you are going to sleep around 11 p.m., you shouldn't be seen eating banku or kinky. Maybe you should also drink some tea and then take some fruit as well. But if you are working 24 hours, perhaps, and it will depend on the nature of the work you are doing.
Because some sit in the office and just type.
Well, so if you are doing...
Some also do heavy job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you are actually under 24 hours, or your company is running 24 hours, and the nature of the work demands that you take some heavy food, you are working. You're going to burn calories, right? And so you're actively, working. I don't think it will be bad for your health. However, I want to see some health opinion on that. But the reason why you are advised not to take heavy food at night is simply because at that very time you're going to sleep, right? So your body is not that active. That's the fundamental reason. But if you're actively working at dawn, at 2 or 3 a.m., actively working, maybe you're working in the factory, you're pushing some goods. It requires that you take heavy food. So the president's comment does not come on the back of the fact that if you are working at dawn, you shouldn't eat heavy food. No.
Okay. All right.
I come on the back of the fact that, look, if you close from work at 5 p.m., you've eaten at maybe 7 p.m., you are going to sleep, you won't eat again banku. No, you can take some tea if you think you are feeling a bit, peckish.
Very well.
I can't. That cannot.
No, which one? No, this one is just a short conversation.
He has set his own question, so if you don't allow him to provide that answer,
no.
That's not for him.
We are not dragging this. Our time is that we're not dragging this. This is just
saying.
Yeah.
He said it. I don't think I said my question. He's been diabolic.
I know.
I don't meet him.
The president did not just make the comment. Walking on the street.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't walking on the street when he made those comments. He made those comments on the back of a policy lunch.
Yeah.
That there's a need for us to transition from just curative to health promotion
and preventive.
Prevention. And so he's promoting the idea that, look, we shouldn't be eating at dawn. And there's a need for us to promote some health services in this country. You have a country where Ghana Health Service is telling us about 4,500 new cases are being recorded when it comes to breast cancer. 60 to 70% of them are actually detected at advanced stages. It cannot tell there's a problem when it comes to health promotion in
our lifestyle.
You know, World Health Organization's report, the WHO STEPS report in 2024 is telling us that about 3.7 million Ghanaians were suffering from hypertension. Only about 1.9 million of them were actually, in fact, 1.9 million of them were unaware that they were suffering from that condition.
Okay.
So that's why there's a need for us to implement a free primary health care to be able to educate.
We had that conversation yesterday. Right. That's what I don't want us to delve.
That's very fine. That's very fine.
This president thing, you know, and the nutrition thing is just on the lighter side for us to end the show.
Sure.
Salom, don't do more than 2 minutes for me. I don't have time.
And it's Friday.
Don't go and write.
I'm saying that it's Friday.
Yes, it is.
It is Friday. So, look,
2 minutes for
on the 12th of September 2025.
Yeah.
I posted this on my Facebook page.
Ghana is worth. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Ghana is worth the sacrifice.
Not
the
that.
cost.
The
one over there.
Yeah.
Consistency is the majesty of noble principles and progressive values. A society that cherishes hypocrisy cannot prize honesty as a value. I spoke against Akufo-Addo's use of the judiciary to crush free speech, and my principles and values demand I do same under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. The continued detention of Abronye is an affront to democratic tenets and must be condemned by all right-thinking Ghanaians. Vendetta has an inverse relationship with the spirit of the 21st century leadership, which I believe President John Dramani Mahama embodies. In fact, it's an anathema. All right, so that's what you posted.
The date.
That is 12 September 2025.
That's it.
Okay.
So I come to this table with a sense of consistency and patriotism. I don't come to this table to display partisanship. That is why I have never endeavored to join a political party, because of my rebellious nature, not to be able to be manacled by party stuff. No, that is it. So, and then again, Arise Ghana, it is not an appendage of the NDC. Arise Ghana is not a creature of the NDC. Arise Ghana is a civil society group. It is an amalgamation of civil society groups and political parties that champions and captains anti-corruption and good governance. That is what we do at Arise Ghana. And we are so passionate about the stuff we do. And we call a spade a spade. If the environment is liberating, we give credit to the person who has created that liberating environment. That's what we do. I am not advancing the cause of a political party, NDC. No, I am on this program advancing things that will make our nation progress. That's what I do.
Okay.
Banku, when I heard the president talk about this, I immediately recall when the former president, Chairman Rawlings, visited at the Dome in 1996. But then he was championing family planning. So when he came there, that was what he told our parents, that do family planning. Like stop giving this and plan family whatever.
Okay.
Yes, so you can educate your children. You can have enough resources to take care of your children. When the president said it, I immediately recalled that thing. That's what leaders do from time to time. When you realize that there's something that you should bring attention to people, that is what happens.
Okay.
So
1 minute. Our time is 1 minute.
I want to tell the president that for some of us, given our economic circumstance, even the bank, we are unable to take tea. Because it's expensive, yes. You see, you are screaming, you are in government. You don't know.
Tea is expensive.
Taking tea in Ghana.
It's expensive.
Derrick,
taking tea is
Derrick,
expensive.
let me have your take and then we are done.
So that is why we go for our government. When we take the government, we drink
Salom. Derrick is on the floor.
I love the bit of what he said, that Arise Ghana stands for good governance, accountability, and all of that. The Honorable Vincent Ekwasi for MP for Otafo and the minority spokesperson on good governance and accountability has raised issues on the CEO and management of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority. I will urge you to take
interest. Why you came here with your own topics?
No, but because of what
you're concluding remark on what the president said.
I will urge you to take interest in that matter, since you stand for accountability, anti-corruption.
And I will urge you and your party to stop antagonizing CEOs.
Stop
antagonizing us. You antagonize us in opposition. You are still antagonizing us.
I want to ask a simple question. The tea that the president is urging us to take is Milo tea. If it is Milo tea, where are we getting the Milo from? Looking at how they are treating cocoa farmers. So you see, I talk about these things all the time, and people don't understand.
We'll not end the show.
We want us to take Milo tea.
The president anyway.
You see, the convenience. When I talk about his political allegiance, he will be speaking English.
Prince Kuma speaks for the NDC communications team, and Derrick Kwadwo speaks for the NPP, and son of Dramani is a leading member of Arise Ghana, and very neutral, like he keeps saying. And
no, so I can't be neutral. I am an objective, patriotic person. I cannot be neutral in this country.
Okay, so
neutrality how? In the face of, come on.
And objectivity towards the NDC.
Anyway,
but it's good anyway.
I think thank you to Franco Trading Enterprise. Still, folks, Papa Pafi. We're grateful for bringing this segment here on the show. Please make your way to any of our branches and patronize Franco Trading Enterprise products. Don't forget, we've got phones for you, we've got refrigerators, we've got televisions, we've got air conditionings and all of that. Very quality ones that you can buy from us. Make sure that you go and get yours from Franco Trading Enterprise. Download the app on Google Play Store. It's the Franco Trading app, or get on our website www.francotrading.com and you can get all the details from there. Newsflash was proudly brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. Let me say a big thank you to Hoochie Bodyline. My costume is by Hoochie Bodyline. Call them on 054-6216-196. That is 054-6216-196. Or you can find them on Instagram at Hoochie Bodyline _GH. Hoochie Bodyline _GH. You can locate them in Ashaiman and do very, very, very good stuff. And most of my costumes that I wear is by Hoochie Bodyline. So please look for them and make them style you so that you also become, or look like the way I look sometimes. Yeah, most of you want to look like the way I look. So just call them and they'll style you very well. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Please, the next week I will be expecting that next week. Yes, next week I expect that.